Oops. Good evening, YouTube. This is Kaylin Stern coming at you with my regular Sunday night dinner. And this is a very special ration. Well, part of it anyway. Several months ago, LC sent me part of this. She sent me this pack, which contains the 2 mains and a wet pack dessert. And there's something else in here that may not be indicated on the outside of the bag. The way that these Singapore rations work is you are issued this pouch, this bag, which contains the 2 mains and a wet pack dessert. And then you have an accessory pack which contains the things like the crackers, the drink mixes. It has fuel tabs and matches. No cutlery. The soldier would have to have his or her own. And then separately, there is an instant noodle, but I did not find one that would be specific to this ration. I did find accessory packs. I actually found 2 of these. The first one of these I used last week when I did my Eid meal. So I went to the store where I get my halal meats and some other things. And they had this chicken curry ramen. I had never seen this one before, so I went ahead and picked it up along with a few other things I wanted to get. So I figured this would be perfect to go along with this menu. So this sheet will have all of the contents of the different menu and accessory pack options. I got water coming up to boil on the stove, so I'm going to open this one first. I'm just going to use my cheaters to do that. I'm going to set these aside for the moment. So in here, this is a Ziploc bag that has a little box of matches and fuel tabs. See, there's MFOS here, and my crusher is here. Here is a pack of tissues. Gotta love the penguins on there. It's actually kind of a cute package. 2 packs of these chocolate covered or chocolate flavored biscuits. This is the apricot and honey bar, the same one that was in last week's meal. So this time, I'm going to open up this one, the blueberry and apple. And then here are the same wheat biscuits, which have kind of a sweet flavor to them. Again, the same 2 drink mixes. I'm going to show the 2 sides. This is a 3-in-1 coffee. Last week I had the 3-in-1 tea out of the other one. This is a different flavor of that, like, cereal porridge type thing. And this is a chrysanthemum tea. It's like an herbal tea. So it's an instant form of the herbal tea instead of a tea bag. And then these two same candies, and you can tell by the look of these, they had seen better days. Spicy tuna rolls is here. So these are going to go right back into the bag, into the trash, because there's no help in opening those. So this is a sheet for the different accessory packs. So there's some slight variation. And then this section has some variations that may be included. And then down here, it may have some other variations that may be optional. You know, the ingredients list. And this is just more information about the various items. I'm just going to toss all these back here so I can clear the space. Obviously, I won't be using everything. I'm actually going to save the chrysanthemum tea. Now I'm going to open up this one. The writing on these is very, very dark. This is very dark green retort. This is a Sambal chicken pasta. I'm only going to be eating one of these mains. And this one is a Malaysian style rice and chicken with tomato. And then this is a dessert, which is kind of like, it's very liquidy. It's almost like a dessert soup. It's black soy milk with water chestnut. So it sounds like it would be more savory than sweet. And then this sheet contains the different menu options. An accessory pack that would go with it. So this one is menu 8. Again, this is a list of the accessory packs that may be given to the soldier in the field. And again, like I said, because the instant noodle is issued as a separate item, I'm going to go with this curry. So I will actually prepare this ramen. I will take one each of these away. And the cereal porridge packet will go away. I think I'm going to go with this one. The chicken pasta. There is LC. This is the chicken pasta. I'm going to go with this one. And then this other one I will save for another day. So I'm just going to put that behind my water bottle. I'm going to open up the 3-in-1 coffee. I have the scissors here, so why not use it? It almost looks like the instant tea, but I can definitely smell the coffee. And then this Pokabi Sweat only requires about maybe 6 ounces of water. It's an isotonic style drink. Kind of a very light cream colored. Powder there. So that's all the water it will get. So because this has no real coloring in it, this should mix up almost clear, maybe a slight tint to it. There's Booger Butt and Booger Butt in the house. Diana is a name I had not seen before. Welcome. Thanks for dropping in. That may require another stir later. So I'll put that off to the side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this, actually before I do that, I'm going to do the ramen. This is my normal way of doing the ramen. I like to break it up. Then I'm doing the birthday ration that LC had sent to me a few months ago. but I wanted to find the missing components to make it more complete. This is the little, like the flavored oil packet. And then this one here is actual seasoning packet with the, it's got two different seasonings. And the way I just do this, I just cut across both at the same time, like this. And then I just empty them out together. I think before I do anything else, I'm going to go put this. Now I can go ahead and open this up. It won't take too long. That stuff is always hard to get out of those packets. So now that I got this partially prepared, I'm going to go ahead and put this into the boiling water. And then I will bring back the kettle that has the water for my coffee and this. And I'll be right back. I'm doing the ramen over here. It will need a little time to rehydrate. And what I'll do is I will put a plate on top of this bowl. Now I can pour the water in the coffee. I just took the kettle back into the kitchen just to get it out of my way. I'll put the coffee back here. I'm going to open up this bar, which I expect will be a similar format to the other one. It looks very dark on the ends. It looks like a fat fig Newton. But it should be very dark inside because of the blueberry. Pretty thick biscuits or crackers. I'm going to open up the chocolate biscuits. I'm going to put them right there. I got a bowl for this dessert because it's, like as you can hear, it's very liquidy. At least that was a pretty clean rip. A few bits didn't come out, but I can get that. The only other time I had something like this was when Foreign MRE used to sell these packs that only had the two mains and the dessert. I'm going to set this back here. And I'm going to give my drink another stir. Oh, I checked the chat. James Ortiz is here. Robert is here. Looks like I'm caught up on who's in here, so I haven't really been reading the chat much. It's kind of hard when I'm trying to open things up. So that is all mixed up pretty good. It kind of looks like a very weak lemonade. And things like this I save because these will become part of my emergency supplies. And even this pack of tissues. But this may come out in a future meal. Since last week I did not open up one of these, I chose something else instead. I had the Magalassi. I will have 3 of these that I can either take with me. I could put 2 of them in a 500 ml bottle and call it good. What these rations do not include is any kind of a spread. But because this dessert is rather liquidy, you could dip the crackers in it. And I have the ramen off to the side here. I'll just pull it forward. And I'm just going to give it a bit of a mix. And then I'll put the plate back on just to keep the heat in. I'm looking forward to trying this chicken curry ramen. I've never had a curry ramen before, so I had not seen it before in Hilal until recently. So I'm going to go get the main and I'll be right back. And before I do the other main, this one here, the chicken tomato rice, that will make an appearance sometime later. I use this, which is part of my regular cookware set. It's like a dome lid that I can put on a couple of my pots. But I like to use it to put my retorts in when I take them out of the pot that I boil them in. That way it's easier to handle them. And I can just get that out of the way. And I have a paper towel that I use to dry them off. The best buy date on the accessory pack was like 2020. When I opened up these crackers last week, they did taste a little bit stale, but for some reason, even though this one came from the same location, the same seller even, they actually smell a little bit fresher. Then the tear notch goes across the top this way. So I like to shake down the food just to make sure it's below the tear notch. Nice clean rip. This looked like it is a bit more than what you would get in a USMR retort pouch. As you could tell, the pouch is a little bit bigger, so this is probably like a 300-gram entree here. That's got a bit of a spice to it. And I can definitely taste the bits of the seasonings. The pasta is soft, as you would expect from a retort pouch, but there's some peas in there, which I like. They still have a bit of firmness to them. If I can get this to focus. The chicken is like a ground chicken. There's a bigger chunk of it right there. But very, very spicy. But I really like the flavor. I'm going to take a drink of this. Again, this is like an isotonic drink powder. Very, very light flavor. A little bit of sweetness. And a tiny, tiny bit of tartness. So there's some citrus in there. And it also may be from the vitamin C that's in there, because it also provides vitamin C. Actually, I think I'm going to move this ramen over to my left so it will be in frame. And then I will move my fruit bar over here. The light crackers are over here. The Australian rations and possibly the New Zealand ones use mee goreng noodles. I'm guessing that because this ramen came from a similar location that a similar brand may be used. I can taste the curry in the noodle. It's not extremely strong, but I can definitely taste it in there. Get a snap of a decent snap. This is what it looks like on the inside. I showed this last week. They are definitely on the sweet side. They're not as crunchy as I would like for a cracker. But for some reason, these actually taste a little bit fresher than the ones I had last week. I'm going to take a taste of this 3-in-1 coffee. It didn't give any idea of how much water to use, so I just kind of went for that amount. It's not bad for an instant coffee. I would definitely be happy to be issued that coffee. See what this looks like on the inside. It's more of a brown color than a burnt orange, like the apricot one. And it's dark because of the blueberry. I just had a little nibble of the filling. I can definitely pick up the blueberry. It does not overpower the apple, which is fine by me. But I'm going back to this main because I really like it. The sauce is very, very thick. So it doesn't have the same consistency as what you might expect from a pasta sauce from a US or Canadian main. I'm just looking back through the chat to see if it doesn't look like I missed anything. And I have it on the live chat. I made sure of that. But if I was a soldier in the field, I would definitely be happy to eat this. And this is one of their spicy menus. This is the chocolate biscuit. About the same type of snap. So it looks like on the inside. Before I take a taste of that, I'm going to drink this because I just ate a bite of that spicy pasta. These are not overly sweet. You do get that cocoa flavor. And it's not as crunchy as what I would expect. Again, remember, this accessory pack had a Best Buy of 2025. No, Best Buy 2020. Yeah, see. Let's see, in this one, the main, this is even older. Best Buy of 2018. And the spice in here, you know, the peas, it has held up very well. This is an easy one to eat, and it would definitely fill you up. And you eat spicy food on a winter day, and you're spending a lot of time outside, that would warm you up. I'm just going to hold this bowl in my hand. The white pieces are the water chestnut. And I believe this is like a black bean. This is black soy milk. So it's a black bean in there. It doesn't look like a soybean because soybeans are more round like a chickpea. You think of the wasabi peas or, you know, the edamame. Edamame is just a soybean that's been cooked in a particular way. The sweetness is just barely present. The water chestnut pieces, they're very small, but you can still get that crunch. It tastes like a black bean. So this is probably some kind of black bean that may be similar to the black beans that we're used to here, but they look more brown. So it's kind of like a dessert soup. That's what I would call it. I dipped a piece of the chocolate biscuit in there, but it really doesn't add much flavor. Not real much, not real a difference than just eating that by itself. But none of this that came out of the mains and dessert pack or accessory pack has given me any funky sensations. Of course, the ramen wouldn't because that's fresh. Now, if this is more savory, then I would probably dip it in the ramen broth, but it's too sweet for that. So I dipped that in the dessert. De Carlos Perry is here. Thanks for dropping in. I am enjoying one of the two mains that Elsie sent in the Singapore mains and dessert component of a Singapore 24-hour ration. I sourced the remainder of it myself. It was a birthday present, but I told her that since the bag that she sent only had the two mains and the dessert, I wanted to try to find either the appropriate accessory pack or find some things that would be similar to what is in the accessory pack. But when I saw the two accessory packs that would go with this ration, I just went ahead and got both of them. And last week I used items from the first accessory pack for my Eid dinner stream where I had the IMP lamb stew. I did finish off the rest of this set of crackers later. I think the next day I ate them. Well, I'm glad Elsie is in here to see me open this one up. So this is a spicy menu 8. Again, this one had a Best Buy of 2018. The accessory packs that I got are 2 years newer. Unfortunately, these Mentos, yeah, there's no way I'm going to be able to eat them. I actually tried opening up the other ones. It was a hot mess. So that's why those go bye-bye. But those flavors sound like they would be good. It's just that I would not be able to really enjoy them. Huh, that's weird. You can't drop a super chat. I've been in other streams and people have been able to drop super chats. Oh, that's a bummer to Carlos. I hope that feels better soon. I mean, you should be able to at least drink something, even if you do it through a straw. I don't know if that helps. I had my wisdom taken out many years ago. And fortunately, the dentist was able to take them all out in one shot. And I had no issues after that. And the only thing that is new with this meal is the ramen. The way these rations work, as I said in the beginning, the instant noodle is issued as a separate item from the accessory pack and the mains dessert pack. But I could not find a ramen that would have been part of this type of ration, so I decided to go buy one at Halal Groceries, where I get my halal meats and some other things, and they had this chicken curry ramen, and I thought, wow, I want to try that one. And this is the one I decided to use for this video. So it's got the curry flavor. It's not too intense, but it'll do. I would definitely get this one again. Yeah, that's true, unless you puree it. But I mean, if you drink something like a drink mix that would come in a ration or some other kind of electrolyte drink, or if you have something like Ensure or Boost or any of those others, that might work as well. Yes. All four of mine were taken out when I was in my late 20s. Yeah, they were actually growing a bit crooked and pushing on the teeth in front of them. So that's why they had to go. But I caught it early enough that the dentist was able to take them all out at once. Yeah, yogurt would be another idea. Yeah, that would be an easy food to eat. Yeah, sometimes a dentist will tell you to, once the anesthetic wears off, what they shoot into your gums, depending on what you have done, they may tell you to eat a soft food or not eat anything for a certain amount of time, or they'll just tell you to, avoid chewing food on one side of your mouth as opposed to the other. But I do hope that you do feel better after the numbness wears off. Yeah, see, yeah, you drink one of those shakes, that will definitely get you some calories and some nutrition that you would otherwise get from your meal. So that would definitely be the way to go. This is apple blueberry in the style of a fig Newton. Yes, this is a large meal. But for the person who would be issued this in the field and is very active, this would definitely help him or her get, keep their calories back up. Yeah, you do, CR. You're always hungry when you see someone else eating food. I could have completely skipped adding the ramen, but I figured since I got the accessory pack, I might as well complete the entire kit, so to speak, and have a ramen. If I don't finish all this tonight, I do have containers I can put this in. And I'll definitely finish off all of this. But if I don't finish off the ramen, I do have containers I can put it in, and then I can just reheat it tomorrow. The rest of these I would just throw in a Ziploc bag to keep them fresh, and then I might eat them a day or two later. But I just keep going back for this. Yeah, he probably dreams about food. I haven't either since Art put up his last ration review on the channel. And the site has nothing on it. It's just kind of hanging out there. So I don't know if they're going to try to get back into the ration business or if other things have taken priority. You know, they're no doubt settled in their house that they had built. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that either. Although the Minotaur site still has stuff on it. Not a whole lot, but there is still some stuff on it. I'm dunking a piece of this in there just see if it does anything, if it cuts the sweetness. Not really. The curry flavor in this ramen isn't strong enough to cut through the sweetness of that biscuit. You know, Art and Nina are probably doing the family thing. They could be spending time with family, or not. Nothing new has been put up on the site, not since the 30s, like I think the 48 and 96-hour mystery boxes. I don't know who Athena is, so I can't answer that. Yeah, Art and Nina used to drop super chats when they came into my stream. Oh, Aletha, she has been having some life issues. Haven't even really communicated with her much lately. But I know she is working. But she's been having some other stuff going on. And being that she is in the Cedar Rapids area, I don't know where she's at, if she is close enough to the Cedar River to be possibly affected by any flooding that might result from the Mississippi River being very high. Although in the northeast part of Iowa, the water has already started to recede. So if it backed up into the Cedar River, then that river may be starting to go down. But I don't know how close they are enough to that river to have any effect. And the Mississippi flooding is a result of snowmelt from Minnesota and Michigan and Illinois and the states above Iowa that have the Mississippi running through it or in between them. Yeah, they got a lot of snow, a whole lot more than we did down here. But any snow melt that comes from here goes into the rivers that feed the Mississippi, and that ends up in the southeast corner of the state. Now, it didn't get that warm here. We had rain off and on yesterday and on Friday. Our high was 56 Fahrenheit. And it was very, very windy here. But after tomorrow, it's supposed to start warming back up into the 60s Fahrenheit for highs and staying in the upper 30s or 40s for lows. So I'm hoping that maybe I can go ahead and put my seeds in the dirt. But I would say we are past our last frost. Now that's cool. I direct sow everything outside because I just don't have the means to start anything here inside. Plus, I have a very active cat, and she would just want to mess things up. But I have been making more compost, at least as best as I can here. My bucket that I keep under the sink has mostly coffee grounds in it, but I have some onion scrap. I got some apple scrap. I put some more apple scrap in there today because I ate an apple with my lunch. And although I can't grow a tree here, I do collect the seeds from the apples. And if I know the variety of the apple, then I label one of those small Ziploc pill pouch bags that I can get from Walgreens or Walmart. And that's what I put the seeds in so I can barter those seeds. Yeah, the wind was blowing trash from the park and who knows where else onto the apartment property. You go out there, you pick some up, drop it in a dumpster. A couple hours later, there's more. I picked up some when I took my spent cat litter out. Thanks for dropping in, LC. Yep, I saw. I got the seeds that I bought at Target. All but the cilantro, I'm going to be giving to someone. In fact, those are already packaged up along with another item. There is Chicago in the house. Hola. ¿Cómo estás? What you're looking at is a combination of two different production years of a Singapore ration. These brown ones are the chocolate ones. They're almost as soft as a graham cracker. They don't have a really hard crunch to them. They're not excessively sweet. And the cocoa flavor is there. It's not extremely strong, but it is there. This is the wheat cracker, but again, it's the same softness, same texture as this one. And this one actually has a bit of sweetness to it. I was expecting a little bit more of a savory or almost salty, but this one is a bit sweet. So it doesn't really lend itself to dipping into anything savory. Plus, this ration has no spreads. But the two mains, the one that I'm eating here, the chicken pasta, which is pretty spicy, but I like it, and the tomato rice chicken, which is, it's back here. The retort is, see, look at the size of this. The standard U.S. retort is smaller than this. So this is about the size of a Canadian retort pouch. Except it just has more in it, but now this is about 300 grams, I'm guessing. But the two mains and this dessert, which is like a dessert soup pretty much, that came in one bag. Then separately, the accessory pack has all this other stuff like the crackers, the drink mixes, this bar. Would have a little tiny, another tea the other accessory pack that I had parts of last week had an iced tea, an instant iced tea mix. This is a hot tea mix, but has a second bar. It has this little packet of like a cereal or porridge. This one happens to be a chocolate flavor. The other is like a vanilla flavor. It has fuel tabs with matches. It has a little pack of tissues. The Mentos candies are absolute mush. There's no way to get into those. And then separately, they're issued an instant noodle. But because I could not find the appropriate noodle that would match these other components, I just went with a ramen that I found at Halal Groceries that I figured would be the closest I could come to what may be issued to the Singapore soldier in the field. This is a curry chicken. It's a new flavor. I had not had it before, so when I saw that, I got to get this one. And this is the one I decided to show you. The other two that I picked up was, they call it special chicken. I think it's just a different seasoning blend, and then a regular chicken flavor. It's Indomie instead of mee goreng, but they're the same type of thing. The packaging is similar, but I decided to go with this one. Simply because it was the curry. And it's a chicken flavor, so I figured why not? And this is called a black soy milk with water chestnuts, and it has a variety of a black bean that, a very, very dark brown bean that is a little bit similar to black beans here, except it's bigger. And this is the bean. And that other little speck is a piece of water chestnut. So it's basically like a dessert soup. There's a little bit of sweetness in this, but not a whole lot. But the water chestnuts, they still maintain their crunch, even after being in that liquid for probably 7, 8 years, depending on when it was packed. But it's a dessert style that we're not accustomed to here in the U.S. But I do find it very interesting, and I do like it. And this is an isotonic drink. But it only calls for 200 mils of water, so less than a cup. I mean, about 6 ounces. Not a whole lot of flavor. But you get 2 of these in the accessory pack. It might be hard to read off of the shiny packaging, but something like this is great for after heavy activity, especially in the summer. You sweat out a lot of your electrolytes, so having a way to replace it in a drink mix is a very good thing to have. So I will definitely be holding on to the rest of these. Now, this bottle holds 500 mils or 16.9 ounces. I could put 2 of these packets in there, and that would be the right amount of water, probably plus some, if I wanted to do that on a hot day. I have some seeds that would be considered, that are labeled as microgreens. But I don't think they would do well as a microgreen in the part shade. Yeah, my deck gets a small amount of sun in the mornings. It's filtered through a tree, plus there's a house on the other side of our exit driveway. And then in the evenings, when the sun goes down in the west, then when the trees are all leafed out, there are birches right in front of my building, and then in front of those are 2 sycamores. Then there is a partition that separates my half of the deck from my neighbor's half, so that blocks out some sun. Plus there is another building slightly to the west that also blocks out sun. So I get very little. Just as the sun is setting is when I get the most sun from the west. And even that's not very much. So I have to have shade tolerant plants. So that's why this year I'm going with herbs and some greens, like the kale, spinach, a couple of lettuces I'm going to try. And now I can put my ramen bowl right there. So I will be giving those a try. Plus I will be planting some of the same things I did last year. Where to begin homestead is in the house. Thanks for dropping in. This 3-in-1 coffee is okay. I've had better, but I've had worse. Now this, as I said earlier, the 2 main entrees plus this dessert here came from 1 pack. with the best by date of 2018. And Elsie, who had to leave, she sent that to me as a birthday gift. My birthday is in January. But I wanted to find accessory packs. I've seen them on eBay in the past, so when I saw them again, I think a couple months ago, I got them. I got them before Ramadan. And so that is the other set. You go back to my thumbnail, you'll see the two bags side by side. So the accessory pack, it came with these crackers, two of these fruit bars, two different flavors. This one happens to be the blueberry apple. Two of these isotonic drink packets. The instant coffee. This porridge packet. And this is an instant hot tea. It says chrysanthemum tea. And you get these are fuel tabs and a little box of matches and a little pack of tissues. Gotta love those penguins though. The candies that were in there had melted and just turned to absolute mush, so there was no way I'm going to try to eat those. But they're Mentos brand. Some kind of fruit flavor, but those are not going to happen. And a Singapore soldier in the field would be issued the mains and wet pack dessert as one package, the accessory pack as another package, and then according to the sheets are in both of these bags, there's a separate instant noodle. I could not find an instant noodle that would accompany this ration on eBay, so I just went ahead and bought a chicken curry flavored ramen from Halal Groceries, where I get my halal meats and other stuff. The chicken curry is a new flavor, so I wanted to go ahead and try it. And I figured, why not add this to the meal? So that's why I have it here. These wheat crackers or biscuits, they're a little bit sweet. Otherwise, it would be perfect to dip in the ramen or in the main entree. If the sauce was a little bit, the sauce on the chicken and pasta was very, very thick. And then these are the chocolate flavored. They're the same consistency. Not a whole lot of crunch to either one. Again, these have been around since probably 2016, 2017, or whenever they were produced. But nothing in any of this has given me any weird sensation, so see, I polished off all of the chicken pasta. There's Nation MRE Finds. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, the chicken pasta is spicy. It had a pretty nice kick to it. It had some peas in it, and the peas actually held up pretty well. They're not mush at all. They still held their firmness. The pasta was pretty soft, but that's what you expect from pasta that's been in a retort since right 2015, 2016 or something like that. But I bought 2 of these accessory packs, and last week, for those that did not join me last week, it was my first live stream since before Ramadan started, so I decided to have what I called an Eid meal, the Eid holiday. I ate the IMP lamb stew, and I had some vegetable rice to go along with it. And I opened up the other accessory pack, so I had some of these. I had the apricot bar that's like this. This is then it had an instant tea, but that one was a cold iced tea mix. I did not prepare that one. And I did not prepare any of this last week because I had some mango lassi, which I had saved from the last batch that I made at the mosque. I brought some of that home. South Florida sunshine. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, this is an Indomie chicken curry flavored ramen. This is a new flavor that I had not seen before. And because the Singapore soldier in the field would be issued an instant noodle as a separate pack or a separate item, along with the rest of the ration items for the day, I decided that I will go ahead and incorporate this ramen and the curry flavor is not too strong. It is there, nowhere near as spicy as the main. But not bad. I would probably want to add some additional spice to it. To make it a little bit better. Yeah, I guess Carol is no longer fishy. Still might call you fishy every once in a while. Yeah, LC, who was up in Canada, ordered the bag that contains the 2 mains and a dessert. The other main is this big pouch here. So 300 grams, it's probably like 10 ounces. I mean, this is the size of maybe a little bit bigger than a Canadian retort. Definitely the size of the British ORP retort pouches. So there's a fair amount of food in this thing. But I will dip into this at another time. So the accessory pack, you get 2 sets of these biscuits. These will most likely be a snack later on. And these fuel tabs and matches, I save all these because these are a good emergency preparedness item. And no utensils came in any of this, so the soldier in the field would have to have his or her own utensils and a mess kit in order to prepare some of this. I don't know how they would have done the ramen unless they had some kind of a mess kit or other container they could boil the water in. Or if they put a container on the manifold of a running vehicle or somewhere on the engine block. Oh, LC, you were able to do the super chat. There you go. Now it worked. Maybe the app on the other device you're using might have to be updated. Or you might have to reset your payment info on that one. So that super chat is much appreciated. Yeah, I'm definitely enjoying this. So thanks for sending it to me. And I'm glad you're able to come in to see me open it up. I was hoping you would. I'm glad I was able to find the accessory packs that would go with this, because I would have had a hard time trying to figure out what items would complete this pack. Because, without opening it up, the sheet in there I would have had to open it up to see the sheet in order to try to figure out what would go with it. So finding the accessory packs was very awesome. Nation dropping that super chat. Yeah, the Singapore. They do some good stuff. I'm sure that if I had newer biscuits, they would probably be a lot crunchier. Sunshine fish. Yeah, CR is having a little fun with you on that one. But this dessert here, and I'll show you the beans. The little light colored bits are water chestnut. This is called a black soy milk with water chestnuts. I don't know what kind of a bean this is, but it's kind of like a black bean. Sorry about that. So the main that I ate was a spicy pasta with chicken in a tomato sauce. And then the other main is a tomato rice chicken. And see, I'm going to pull this. So this is menu 8. This is the main that is still in the pouch. The Sambal minced chicken pasta, this is what I ate. Black soy milk with water chestnut, but it does not say what kind of bean that is. And then this other is the accessory packs that you would be given. The soldier probably would not know what accessory pack would be handed out. But this one that I happened to open up is accessory pack C. And I do like that these are in English. I'm guessing Singapore has quite a few different languages that are spoken, and they choose English as an official language for government issue things of this type. And this dessert is not very sweet, but it has some sweetness. And it's something that we're not used to here in the U.S. But that sambal chicken, the chicken was ground chicken. They call it minced. It had the texture of ground chicken. It was pretty spicy, but I enjoyed it. And this ramen, or an instant noodle, is issued as a third item in the ration set to the soldier in the field, aside from the mains and dessert pack and accessory pack. But I could not find a ration instant noodle, so I just went for this chicken curry one that I picked up at Halal. And as you saw, the accessory pack said halal, so there's a high Muslim population in Singapore, so they use halal meats. So that's why when you get a Singapore ration, it may say halal on it. Which means that ingredients in it are permissible, or it is allowed for a Muslim to eat them. For instance, the meats or meat sourced ingredients would come from animals that were hand slaughtered in a specific manner with Allah's name pronounced upon it at the time it's done. And then it's the animal's butchered in a specific manner, similar to what is done to meet the kosher standard for meats for Jews. Ooh, that sounds good. I'll have to try to find some of that. I bet with that saffron in it, it probably cost a pretty penny. That drink has a tiny bit of a citrus flavor. Storms, radios, and cats in the house. Thanks for dropping in. I am enjoying a birthday ration along with some related items that I sourced myself to go along with. So another day, this Malay tomato rice with chicken will come out. Let's see, this is bigger than a US MRE pouch. There's more food in it. Dessert came in the same size pouch. And it's very liquidy, so I knew I had to get a bowl. Because I did the ramen, I got another bowl. But this 3-in-1 coffee, it's not too bad. Although I still prefer G7. But I would still drink that. Yeah, everything. Let's see, the ramen, I could get that packet back out and see where it was made. Yep, this came from, might be hard to read, but this came from Indonesia. Uh, uh, the wrinkle there, it's hard to see, but this came from Indonesia. So very similar location. Yeah, it's not all that far from Singapore. And Indonesia has a high Muslim population as well, so a lot of their stuff will be halal. Star Homestead India, thanks for dropping in. You changed your channel logo. That's kind of a cute one. So it is morning time over there in India. So glad to see you here. I'm not sure what time it is there. It is, show you my watch, 10 minutes to 10 on my watch. This is Central Time. Yeah, 7:19. Wow, that's a totally different time. Yeah, so it's your breakfast time there. Or you would be out looking after the chickens. But this is a Singapore ration. The two mains, the one that I ate and the one that I will eat later, and the dessert had a best by date of 2018. So probably 7, 8, maybe 9 years old. And then the accessory pack had a best buy date of 2020. So it's probably, a couple years newer than the mains. But so far, everything has been pretty good. I bought 2 accessory packs. The other one I used parts of last week. But these biscuits actually taste a little bit fresher than the other one for some reason. Though these are sweet. Almost as sweet as the chocolate ones. But the Singapore soldier in the field would be issued an instant noodle separate. But because I could not find a Ration instant noodle on eBay where I bought the accessory packs, then I just went to a halal food store and bought some chicken curry flavored. This is chicken curry flavored. The curry flavor is not too strong in this. Sorry, brief disconnect there. As I said, the curry flavor is not too strong in this. So I would probably add something a little spicy to it. But they're not too bad. I would definitely get these again. This is a new flavor to me. I had not seen these anywhere before. Three-in-one coffee. It's not bad. That's okay, CR. You got stuff to do. This is an isotonic drink. There's a very slight amount of yellow color to it. It's an isotonic drink. It has a slight citrus flavor. But it only calls for 200 mils of water, so I could do 2 of these in this bottle. And this is what the packet looks like that the powder comes in. So I could put 2 of these packets in this bottle back here. Get the focus back. Oh, wow. Also, they split. Oh, that's interesting. Wow, that would be interesting to see that. To compare it with these older accessory packs, that would be awesome to see. Yeah, I tried to add as little water to it. An isotonic drink is one that includes vitamins and minerals and some other nutrients. Might be hard to focus on this because of it replaces what your body sweats out through heavy activity or sweating, especially on a hot day. Yeah, think of Gatorade, Powerade. Similar types of sports drinks those are isotonic drinks. You can also get the powders, like Gatorade powder, Drip Drop, Liquid IV, things like that are isotonic drink mixes, somewhat like this. And especially during the summer, you want to have those in your emergency kits or when you go out to do some heavy activity. So if you've ever heard of sports drinks brands like what I mentioned, or some similar brands that might be local to your area, those would be a good thing to have, especially on hot days or you're going to do some seriously heavy activity. Yeah, see, Red Bull is an energy drink, but it's a carbonated one. Some people don't like the carbonated drinks, but they will drink things like Gatorade or Powerade. If they want the benefits of the electrolytes and the extra nutrients, but they don't want the carbonation. And having a powder like this, you can put several of these in your emergency kit, or just in a pocket, or in a pack if you're doing a day hike. You know, you can use those. You just put that in your water, mix it up, drink it. And if you have to chemically treat your water with water purification tablets or drops or powders, and it might taste funky, a powder drink mix will kind of cover up the taste of that agent that you use to purify the water. At this bar, on the ends it looks the color of the inside of a fig Newton, but it is blueberry and apple as the filling, so that's why it looks just kind of a dark brown, because the blueberry will darken anything it's mixed with. Yeah, CR says that all the time whenever he comes into my streams. Or anyone streams and there's food involved. But this is the bar that I had last week, the apricot and honey. I'll munch on this one another day. I don't know if he's eating pizza or not. Unless he got it from CT, because CT is always chasing pizzas. Whenever he comes down here to the U.S., if he's near Casey's, he's going to get a Casey's pizza. Casey's is a convenience store gas station chain that is based in Ankeny, which is a suburb of Des Moines, so right here in central Iowa. Nope, not that Casey. It's CASEY apostrophe S. But that is one of a couple of those chains that are based here in central Iowa. Well, storms, when I was in college back in the 80s, I ate a lot of pizza. I had to buy my meal plan for the dining hall, and there were 3 different levels, so I got the least expensive one, so I could only get a certain number of meals in there per month. And a lot of times the food was, I'll just call it jail food. You didn't know what some of it was. When it's bad when you can't tell the difference between the oatmeal and the grits when you're going in there for breakfast. Oh, there's CT. We're just talking about you. Were your ears itching? And then the mystery meat is those formed patties like you would get like the McDonald's McRib or the pork patty that you might get out of a older USMRE. Yeah, you don't know what's really in it. And then, but what the dining hall there did, they always left the cereal dispensers out for all 3 meals because people would hit them instead of the hot food line, because the hot food line, well, some of it was just plain nasty. And then the salad bar, the lettuce was not always the freshest. Otherwise, I would have been hitting a salad bar more. So I ate a lot of pizzas and I kept food in my dorm room. And so did my roommates that I had at the time. Yeah, the McRib has a really funky color added to it to make it look like barbecue sauce, and you get that weird shape to make you think you're eating actual rib meat. Yeah, I stayed clear of those. My high school had those same patties, and yeah, it was not good. So in college back then, I was either hitting the cereal dispensers or the salad bar when the lettuce was actually fresh. Sometimes I would get the hot food. Sometimes I would go to the on-campus restaurant called the Bear's Pit. And it was basically like a combination of McDonald's or Hardee's. And you could get some actual edible food there. Or sometimes I would go there to pick up a sandwich, like a cold bag lunch, if my class times did not allow me to go into the cafeteria to get a meal. And if I did not have money to buy anything off of the Bear's Pit menu, but I still could get a meal using my school ID card, then they had these sack lunches you could get, so I would get one of those. But I ate a lot of pizza. This is a chicken curry flavored ramen that I picked up at a halal food store. This substitutes for the instant noodle that would have been issued with the rest of a Singapore 24-hour ration. Well, definitely the sambal pasta with chicken. That one is a winner. I would eat that again. But I'm definitely looking forward to trying the other main. So that will make an appearance in the near future. This one is the dessert that was packed with the two mains. It's called black soy milk with water chestnut, but it has these brown beans in it. So it's about the size of a kidney bean. The little light colored bits are water chestnut. So this is very liquidy. I would call it a dessert soup. It's not really sweet, and it's a dessert item that is not very common here in the U.S. Now, surprisingly, the water chestnuts do hold up. They still have their crunch. Thanks for dropping in, CR. Annie's Kitchen. That's a new name to see in here. Thanks for dropping in. But LC up there in Canada sent me the bag that had the two mains and the dessert as a birthday present. But because that's all that was in that one, I wanted to source the accessory pack that would go with it, so I found them on eBay and I bought two of them. I used items from one of them last week. The beans, they taste kind of like a mild black bean crossed with a kidney bean. They're bigger than a black bean, about the size of a kidney bean. Very, very mild flavor, so they do take up the flavor of the sugar and the soy milk and whatever else is in there. And then those little bits of water chestnut, they retain their flavor and their crunch. There is Sean Hack in the house. Thanks for dropping in. So I polished off the sambal pasta with chicken. Is a ground or minced chicken. That was spicy. And it was really good. I would eat that again. I watched Sean Hack's opening up of what he called the Matt Rat Pack or something like that. Thanks for dropping in. Where to begin Homestead. So I'm subscribed to her channel. I'm subscribed to almost everybody in here. The only one I'm not subscribed to yet is Annie's Kitchen. So I will have to check that out later. But I do these live streams every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central US. I say US because, they're Canadians here. But Star Homestead India, as the name implies, he is in India. And it is after 7 a.m. there. So it would be breakfast time or time for morning chores, if he has not done that already. I believe I am LC. Again, I can check that later. Yeah. So when CT is at home, he's in the same time zone I am. CR is an hour ahead. And then Average Joe is in BC. That's British Columbia. Yeah, the main that I did eat, the sambal chicken, is very good. The sauce is very thick. It really clung to the pasta. But I really liked the amount of spice it had. And that was a Best Buy of 2018. So it was probably packed in 2015 or 2016, something like that. But everything else in here, although these biscuits do taste like they're old, they're not rancid. They have not lost their original flavor. When they're fresh, they're probably pretty crunchy. But these have some sweetness, which I was not expecting to find. I thought these would be more of a savory type, kind of like the French army biscuits, or maybe some of the Russian crackers. But these are not overly sweet, but you do pick up the sweetness and the cocoa flavor. I think both of these would be great with Nutella, or that chocolate peanut spread that you would get in some U.S. rations. This bar is one of two that you get in the accessory pack. This one happens to be the blueberry apple. but it's in the style of a fig Newton. Yeah, that could be. Although some accessory packs you'll get a hot tea. This one happened to come with an instant chrysanthemum tea. Gold Roast is the same brand. It's hard to read the gold writing on the red background when it's shiny like this. The other accessory pack had an iced tea mix. It was like a citrus flavored. So I did not open that one. This one says chrysanthemum and honey. And has Chinese on it. And this is 150 mils of water, so you make this pretty strong. That iced tea mix is probably about the same. So I've held on to that one. And I'm holding on to this one. Then this is the isotonic drink mix. It has a slight sweetness, slight citrus flavor, most likely from the vitamin C that's in here. But it only calls for 200 mils of water, so about 6 ounces. I could do 2 of those. I could do 2 of these in this bottle. And then work out just fine. It's cold where you're at. Let's see. My last check, it was still 55 degrees Fahrenheit here. We got up to 56. Yep, that's a good idea. Work out a 1 until you finish it off. Yeah, DeCarlos Perry is gonna make himself a protein shake to get a little nutrition in him since he had some dental work done earlier. Yep. I hope we are past the potential frost because I want to get my seeds in the dirt. Yeah, Chicago, this particular one does need a little spice, but because I've never had it before, I wanted to just have it straight up as is. I would throw more curry in there. And I would probably put some black pepper in it. Or maybe a little bit of I still have some of that custom seasoning blend that Mike Crusher sent me. I would throw some of that in here too. But definitely more curry. This needs more curry in it. But other than that, Yeah, I would still get this again, and no doubt I will. When I do eat the other main from this pack, I will probably put some other stuff with it. I may not get another ramen. I just may add something else to it. Yeah, I do have some more of these, but because these are sweet, I would want something a little savory, so I would look for something a little more savory. I do have those Vasha crisp breads that I picked up. I think those might work well with that main because they would be more savory. Or I just find some other kind of a cracker that would go with it. Whereas these are calling for some kind of a spread. Ooh, shiitake mushrooms. You know, I have never actually had shiitake mushrooms. I actually need to try those. I've never had shiitakes. There are a lot of mushrooms which I have never had. I've never had chanterelles. I've never had chicken of the woods. I've had portobello, but I haven't had any of that for a long time. I've never had porcini, although I'd love to try that one as well. But there are a lot of the edible mushrooms that I've seen people forage in their videos, and they look really interesting, but I would just love to try them. See, that one I've never heard of. But thanks for dropping in, CT. Hope you have an uneventful Monday tomorrow. You know, Mondays can be really obnoxious. I'm going to dip, even though the coffee is not hot anymore, I'm going to dip this one, chocolate one, in the coffee. The same cocoa flavors, it comes through the coffee. The coffee is not strong enough to really cut through this. Yeah, like I said, Elsie, that is one I've never heard of, but I wouldn't mind trying it. It's just finding things like that here. Ooh, mango sherbet sounds good. Probably sounds as good as frozen mango lassi. Hmm. I think that would be a very hard one to find, especially for someone who has never really foraged for mushrooms before. And I would need someone to go with me who has not only has the wheels to take me out there, but someone who has a good eye for seeing like things like that because I might miss it. After all, my vision is not the greatest. I've never seen them in a farmer's market. Of course, I haven't been to a farmer's market. I think I went once last year on opening day. I never did go back. I hope to hit the farmer's market more this year. Yeah, I'll look at that later. Yeah, I need to get a book on Iowa mushrooms. I have a book on wild edibles of Iowa. It might have some mushrooms in it, but I want to find one that is specifically for mushrooms here in Iowa. Again, I would have to have someone take me out of the city since I don't drive. Sorry, I keep bumping this thing. It's so wobbly. Here, you don't have to have a license to forage. You just have to go to public land where it is allowed, or if you're allowed to forage on another person's property. And you have to be sure that you're not too close to a road or any other potential contaminant source. Yeah, I could go to the riverbank and maybe go up and down the riverbank, but because there's roads nearby where I do have access, even if I find an edible mushroom and I positively identify it, I wouldn't risk it just because of the proximity to a road. Yeah, this ramen is worth it, but it needs more spice. It needs more curry. It almost tastes like the other chicken flavor ramens. I'm barely picking up the curry flavor, so it needs a bit more spice. But now that I've had it, next time I get it, I can add some stuff to it. Or if I wanted to, I could get the tuna or the Chicken Creations buffalo chicken flavor. I could put that in there, add the hot water, mix it up, and let the spice from that chicken go into the ramen broth, and then it would season it up that way. That would be another way to do this. But for an instant noodle, it's not bad. I don't taste any real difference between the regular chicken flavor of this brand or the special chicken. Those two taste almost identical. This one just has a little bit something extra that distinguishes it from those other two. But for an inexpensive light meal or something, add chicken to or tuna or whatever. Yeah, I put tuna or chicken in ramen before. Done that at camp. When camping with friends. So I would do the same with this. I would add stuff to it. Oh, that's good. Hopefully she will take the lessons pretty well, and any good advice, take that to heart and stick with it. Yeah, my parents taught my sisters and my brother to drive. And then my sisters taught their kids to drive. One of them got into trouble. And the other two are still happily driving. But, some kids take advice well, some don't. But because I never learned, short of my 200-foot drive in a horse pasture while my late dad was in the back of the truck throwing hay out for Girl Scout camp's horses down in Arkansas when I was home on summer break from college. Yeah, you have to be, especially with distracted drivers. Yeah. Have to deal with that when riding the buses because some idiots will try to cut off a bus that cannot turn on a dime or can't stop on a dime. And then there are those who will think they can force a bus to hit them and hopefully get a huge payout. Till they realize that buses have cameras, so any encounter with another vehicle or a pedestrian or someone on a bike, that gets recorded. Yeah, see the truck that we had the use of down at the Girl Scout camp on Lake Ouachita in Arkansas, that was an automatic. And because of the fact that I was only going a straight line, I didn't have to do any thing with the gear shift. All I did was put my foot down on the gas a little bit, then a few seconds later I'd let off, and when I let off the gas, my dad threw some hay out, and then I'd put a little on the gas again to go forward. Then I'd let off, just kept doing that until my dad had thrown all the hay out of the back end of the truck. And I just held the steering wheel steady. I wasn't turning or anything. And so that was my only driving experience, was at 200 feet. My dad says I drove a straight line, and I tell him, no, you compensated by the way you threw out the hay out. I tell him, you made the straight line, not me. But that was back in 85. No, summer of 87. There was no one else available to put the hay out for the horses, and I was the only one there. So I was the one who went out with them. And I figured, since he's a licensed driver, he would drive the truck, and I would be in the back of it throwing the hay out. But no, my dad had other ideas, so that's the way we did it. And of course, being on private property, there was no enforcement. The only other driving I'd done was boats. That's it. Yeah, we still have parallel parking spaces here. And then several years ago, in some places, the parking spaces were changed to a different angle than they were. I guess in order to have a little bit more width of the driving lanes, especially on the bridges. They did this on the bridges going across the river in the downtown area and in some other lots. But you know, when someone is going to learn how to drive but they're not a teen, but yet, you know, they would otherwise, you know, if they have a good enough vision and no other factors that would limit them from driving or restrict them, they always say you have to have a 21 or older adult with you, even if the person learning to drive is in their 50s. You know, the language never changed from, you know, a teen learning to drive. Yeah, my brother, when I was in my late teens, I was just starting to go to college in the 80s. My brother had a little Honda 50 motorcycle. So it was a miniature motorcycle. You know, you had to be at least 16 in order to drive it on the street, but out in the rural area, you know, he could drive that thing anywhere, you know, like around the property that we lived on. But he had to have a license in order to drive it on the street. I'm switching bowls. Yeah, my dad had a Honda 150 at that same time, so he and my brother would go out riding together. And later, later on, my brother literally bought boxes of Harley parts and built 2 motorcycles just from boxes of parts. Yeah, he learned how to build and repair motorcycles at a body shop that he worked at. And of course, when money got tight for him, he sold those and made a whole lot of money off of them, which got him out of a financial jam at the time. He lost those rides, but, you know, That's something that a lot of people can't do, is literally build a motorcycle from boxes of parts. And when my brother was working at an auto detailing shop, he had a motorcycle gas tank that was not painted. And so the shop wanted to try a new color. So my brother mixed it up, and then he tried it on that motorcycle gas tank. And then he took that into the shop to show what the finish would look like on metal. And they liked it, so they used it. They liked that mix that my brother came up with. So he has done stuff like that. It's a big old piece of water chestnut. Okay, so the dessert, it's called black soy milk with water chestnuts, and it has these dark brown beans. They're about the size of a kidney bean. The flavor is almost like a cross between a kidney bean and a black bean. And then the lighter colored bits is water chestnut. There's a bit of sweetness. It's like a dessert soup. I do not know if this was supposed to be heated. So I just opened it up, put it in the bowl. And then the one other time I had one of these, when Foreign MRE used to sell these, it was slightly different, but it was the same format. It was a very liquid with a few bits of, I don't remember what was in that one. But I would call it a dessert soup. So it's not all that sweet. It's just a different thing that we're not used to here in the US. It's different and it's interesting. The beans kind of take on the rest of the flavors in it. Yeah, I don't watch that show. I don't have a TV, so unless I find it online, if I choose to, I just don't watch stuff like that. This almost looks like the color of a diluted chocolate drink. I'm not sure if that's because of the beans. I don't know what they mean by black soy milk, if there is a black soybean. Because this is definitely not a soybean. It's not the same shape. Although I would probably have to do a search to see if there is such a thing as a black soybean. Like I said, this is very interesting. Angry Blacksmith, thanks for dropping in. Have to check out this thing from the beginning to see everything that I put on the tray. My last bite of the blueberry apple bar, which looks like a fat fig Newton. That last bit actually got a bit toasty. Yeah, that could be. I would have to look that up because when I have eaten edamame, which is a Japanese method of cooking soybeans, they are round like chickpeas. But this ration set came from Singapore, so there may be some different varieties that we're not used to here. So Angry Blacksmith, what I had was one of the two mains that LC had sent me that came in the pack along with this dessert soup, as I call it. I found a pair of accessory packs that would go with the mains and dessert pack on eBay, and I bought both of them. Last week I used components of one of the accessory packs, and I still have some of those. So it came with 2 pairs of these biscuits. Came with this 2 of these isotonic drink powders. This one had a 3-in-1 coffee. And the other one I used last week had a 3-in-1 tea. And then this one had a chrysanthemum hot tea mix. The other one that I used last week has a citrus iced tea mix. I still have that one. I didn't use that one. The accessory packets come with these little pouches of an instant cereal or porridge. Might be different flavor. 2 of these fruit bars, which look like an oversized fig Newton. And the candies, the Mentos candies, were just so heat stressed, you couldn't open them. So they must have seen some heat in between the time the seller sent them and when I received them. And then it comes with a pack of tissues with penguins, fuel tabs, and a little box of matches, which I add to my emergency supplies. Now, I have seen pictures of the black turtle beans. I think those are smaller. I'm going to try something here. So this is the inside of the bean. So I'm sure this was white at the time. And then the skin comes off. So it looks like this on the outside without the skin. So I don't know if what I just showed you matches that. Or if the shape is wrong. And that looks closer to the color of the black bean that I'm familiar with. But it is a very interesting idea for a dessert. So I would guess that they don't do an extreme amount of sweet stuff like we do here. You know, based on what is the common foods there. Yeah, especially if it's a GMO soybean, you definitely want to avoid those if you can. You can find organic soybeans, they're just hard to find. Yeah, there are some people who are allergic to soybean anything. So a lot of products will, although not all of them do, but I've seen a lot of products that will have soy as an allergen warning ingredient. Yeah, some farmers may rotate between corn and soybeans or wheat or whatever. Uh, there's a lot of stuff that goes into their decision on what to plant on those big single crop farms. Unlike the Brahms farm uh, that I have been to, they grow fruits and vegetables. They have an orchard with nut as well as fruit trees. They sell eggs from their chickens. They also do cut flowers. They have greenhouses as well as outside fields. And they're also doing alfalfa, not only for their own animals to use as either supplemental feed or for bedding, but they'll sell it. Well, the only thing is, I would never be allowed to get a license. So a driving lesson really wouldn't do me squat. Yep. Fibromyalgia can be nasty. I've had home care clients who had to deal with that. And that could be a mean one. And I know some other people here locally who have to deal with that. No, it wouldn't make me sad. To me, it'd just be just something useless. Just like I don't have a use for anything that might be considered a luxury. Yep, that's the thing you can do. Just like, I got herniated discs in my back, and I have no cartilage in my right knee, but I was in the mosque every day during Ramadan. Uh, making sure that the evening meals were ready and all the tableware and utensils were out. And I've fasted every day. Yeah, I wonder how many people know that song or who first put it out there. It's been around a few minutes. Some of the kids these days wouldn't know about it. Yep. Yeah, you don't want to do that, especially if you're hypoglycemic. Just like a diabetic, you have to regulate that blood sugar. You can't let it get too low because you could get in the same, some serious trouble just like you can if it gets too high. So there are some guys who belong to my mosque who are diabetics, so they can't fast. And others have to take certain meds that you have to keep on a strict schedule. So they can't fast unless they go off that medicine, like if it was a temporary thing, like an antibiotic. Yeah, that is very, very weird. My mother was hypoglycemic for a short while, so when she had to go through that, she had to eat like 6 small meals a day. But then she got past that and she could go back to a normal eating schedule. Yeah, that is definitely not good. Yeah, too bad you had to learn the hard way, but the main thing you know what you can do and you know what you can't do and you just run with it. Yeah, my best friend in high school was diabetic, but because she had some digestive issues, that got worse because she was misdiagnosed by an incompetent, poor excuse for a doctor. She had to go radical and have part of her innards taken out. So she had to change her diet in order to deal with that, and it made it harder for her to control her blood sugar. Yeah, that grape juice was probably a good choice. I probably gave you more than if you just had apple juice. This one, it's a very slight citrus flavor. Kind of pushing on the lemon, but very, very light. It's probably more from the vitamin C that's in here than any actual lemon flavor. But when you taste it, you can definitely tell that it's one of those isotonic drinks. It just says flavorings here, so I'm guessing probably a small amount of lemon extract. So more of that citrus flavor comes from the citric acid, the ascorbic acid. Yeah, some people will do like what you might do with the Spanish powders that are labeled as a rehydration salt. You actually take the powder dry into your mouth and then you have a water chaser. Yeah, like I said earlier, because this calls for 200 mils of water or probably 6 ounces, I could put 2 of these powders in this bottle and call it good, because that's a 500 ml bottle. It may look like a bigger bottle because it's a double wall bottle. Yeah, so I said that, these kinds of things are great to have on you in the summer, either in an emergency kit, like a get-home bag or bug-out bag, or a day pack if you're going out just for a short day hike, or if you're just going to be doing some serious physical activity. Those kinds of powders are great to have. And I have a variety of them. Yeah, I have gotten leg cramps, and that tells me that I did not drink enough when I was not fasting, like say before first light or after sunset. When I would eat again during Ramadan, if I did not drink enough fluids before I went to bed, or when I got up to eat my breakfast before first light, if I did not drink enough, then I would notice it the next night when I go to bed. Or even on days when I'm not fasting, if I didn't drink enough, I might get a leg cramp in the middle of the night. And that is very annoying. Yeah, that is a big challenge. And sometimes having two parents trying to do the homeschooling with a special needs kid can be a challenge. I know some people here who have to deal with that, and it severely cuts into the time that they can go out and then just enjoy themselves. Well, that's a good thing she was there to help you out when you needed that. I think I've gotten all the beans out of there. I could just drink the rest of this. Yeah, one couple I know, they have two special needs kids, and that more than doubles the challenge they face. Yeah, finding the right school can be a challenge too because not all schools are equipped to handle specific special needs. My oldest sister has worked with a variety of the special needs kids at her school. And more often than not, it's a non-physical things like the ADHD or the autism or uh, something else along that line. And sometimes it can be combined with a physical disability. But she specialized in special ed, and that's what she wanted to do. So she's done that since August of 1984. She's been at the same school ever since. For the past few years, she officially retired from being a teacher, but went back as a substitute and teacher associate. They don't call them teacher aides down here, or here in Iowa anymore. They call them teacher associates or classroom associates. So she is no longer responsible for writing lesson plans and IEPs or individual education plans. She will still grade papers for those kids that actually are able to do that kind of stuff where they have to do homework or take tests. She will grade some of those. but she doesn't have to do a lot of the other stuff that she used to. But she went back as that secondary role in order to keep her health insurance and to keep her IPRs going, because she's only going to be 60 in October. Oh, that's good that you're able to find something that works. Sometimes that can be a real struggle. And when they reach adulthood and they can't be out on their own, then they either have to stay with the parents or they have to go to a group home. And sometimes even those facilities may not be the best. If that one is available down here in the U.S., that could be an option for some people. That's a name I'm not familiar with. I don't deal with that stuff personally, so I don't have a whole lot of knowledge about things like that. Yep. I won't say the name of the YouTuber, but there's a YouTuber who has an autistic child who is an adult, but because this child is not able to be on their own, the child is living with the separated former spouse. So that this young adult can get the supervision needed to make sure that they stay out of trouble and is able to have somewhat of a decent life. And this young person does not communicate verbally very well. This person will say a few things, but mostly it's nonverbal. And I have had a couple of autistic clients who were high functioning enough to be able to live on their own, but they still needed help with certain things. They would have a person who would be known as a payee who would handle their household bills. It would take their disability payments, pay the bills out of it, and then give the remainder to the client and maybe help them go buy groceries or whatever. Sometimes they would have a person come in to help them with household stuff or some personal care, like I used to do. Yeah, I have known a few of them. Like I said, I took care of a couple of them, provided their some basic personal care, helped them with bathing. Helped one use the glucometer. I had to remind them to hit their finger with an alcohol wipe before using the lancet. Otherwise, you would get a contaminated blood sample and it would not give the proper reading. Or, or remind them that they have to do a certain thing a certain way in order to get the result that they want. But yeah, I know people who have autistic kids. I have not met the kids themselves, but the parents I know. And so I know what they're dealing with. They can't go out and enjoy themselves. They can't go out into the woods to camp or fish or do whatever as much as they would like because they have to have someone there with the kids all the time. Yeah, that's a job and a half. But you're doing it. There are some people who would just want to give it all up and send their kids off to some kind of a facility. And my oldest sister has had to deal with parents in the past who would never show up for parent-teacher conferences, who would take no interest in their child's education. If the kid qualified for a free or reduced lunch, the parents wouldn't sign them up, but yet would not send them money for lunch because the kids have to pay for their lunch in some form in our public schools. I'm sure they do in the private schools too, but since my sister works in a public school, there is no free lunch for everyone. And when the parents would not provide lunch money for the kids or apply for free or reduced lunch, and if the kid had had no money, then if my sister had money on her, she would buy the kids lunch. Otherwise, she would have to sit in a classroom with the kid and maybe share part of her lunch. And then have been times where the kids wouldn't get a bath or shower at home. And so my oldest sister would take them down to the locker room so they could use the shower there and have to provide the soap or body wash and shampoo for the kid because they wouldn't get that at home. She has had to deal with it in the past. Not in the past, probably a couple of decades, but she has had to deal with that in the past. Yeah, exactly. That's the way it was when my sister first started working at that school. And it was not just about a kid with special needs. It was about kids, who would be in the regular classrooms, doing the regular subjects with everybody else, but would not get what they needed from their parents, such as school supplies or lunch money or even a bath or a shower at home. Some of them just didn't care. And if the parents don't get on their kids about doing homework when they have it, it's another problem that schools have to deal with. And then they wonder why their kids aren't doing well. Or maybe not. But from what I've heard from her, things like that are not as common as they used to be. Or sometimes there would be no discipline at all. If they just let the kids do whatever, regardless of the cause of it. Or they don't want to do anything to or for their kids. Yeah, there's some deadbeat parents who live with their kids, but they don't live for them. But yet we have homeless kids who are so eager to learn and to improve that they will do whatever it takes to get that education. And my sister has helped some of these homeless students at her school. And we have a growing homeless population in this city. So there's going to be more of those kids in the schools. But despite that circumstance, they're chasing education. They want it so bad. Yep, our foster system has failed. Heck, back in 2012, I was accused of neglecting my kid, but I didn't know I had a kid. So, Child Protective Services came out to where I was living, found no evidence of a kid living with me. I don't know who my kid is. No one has told me. I would like to know. So whoever filed that complaint against me either just wanted to get me in trouble or just plain stupid. Yep. Uh, because we have that problem here in Iowa, combined with a child trafficking, kids being taken not by Child Protective Services but by someone and then handed off to smugglers who will take them to someone to be abused. Yep. But we can only hope that things will get better as more people are aware of these issues. And the appropriate services have to be made available for these families. Yeah, we have had some here in Iowa get shut down by the state because not only were the kids in them not properly treated, they were used as lab rats without their knowledge or understanding, without the knowledge or understanding of the parents or guardians who sent them there. And so those kids are emotionally scarred for life. Even worse than when they went into those places. Oh, that is so not cool. Yeah, that would be a real that would be a real difficult thing to deal with. Wow. That is nuts. But you're doing your best for them. That's all that anyone can hope for. Is you're trying your hardest. You know, I've been on here 3 hours, 40, and I got briefly disconnected again. So I wonder if this is a hint. I do apologize for those brief disconnects. At least they don't last as long as they used to. Unlike Smokey last night, who got completely booted off out of YouTube, and he had to start a fresh stream last night. Yep, I sure hope that happens for all those kids down there. Uh, I have the one cat. Because I'm down, I went back down to one cat after a meal across the Rainbow Bridge. Be a year ago about, I think it was May 10th or 11th or something like that. I don't remember the exact date when I took her to the ARL, Animal Rescue League. But I just have Pumpkin. What? So I now have a cat double. Yeah, she's a good girl. She likes to play bite, and I'll tap her on the head. I said, no bite. But I'll tell you, she purrs like she's got a motor inside her. I really, as much as I would love to have a second cat, I think if I do, I would rather get the two cats at the same time. When Mila was a kitten, when she got to her full size, I tried putting a collar on her. She found a way to get it off. And when Pumpkin came to me, she was not wearing a collar, so I can only assume that that was the same issue, that she would not take to a collar, so I just don't bother. But because Pumpkin is an inside cat just like Mila was, if I need to use a treatment like that, I would just do the topical thing, but so far I haven't had to bother with that. But I think I'm going to go ahead and call this one good. Yeah, YouTube cuts these streams off at 4 hours, and because I'm at 3 minutes 51 in a few seconds, I'll probably go ahead and cut this one off. And call this one good. And others can watch the replay later if they want. But I do want to thank you all for dropping in, especially Elsie, since she sent me the main component of this meal. And again, I want to thank those two for dropping the super chats. Those are greatly appreciated. So next week, I'll pull something else out of the old ration box. But I definitely wanted to get this one done tonight since Elsie had been waiting to see it. So anyway, thank you all for watching, and catch you on the flip side.